Tekashi 6ix9ine made it safe for niggas to be telling. The reason why it's an unwritten code not to snitch is because you handle the problems within your community amongst yourself. The black community has been known for being discriminated against by police officers and law enforcement, so we knew snitching was something that we didn't want our own people to go through, getting reprimanded by that system. They gonna do you worse. We don't want to put our people in the system. But Tekashi made this shit cool. Stephen A made this shit cool. They're talking about an anonymous hotline, people calling in, ratting on the people who got up out the bubble and got up in. All in the fear of the COVID. Mind you, every basketball player's been asymptomatic, but let's listen to Stephen A. Smith, Max, and all these niggas talk about how they love snitching.
To say to me, they were older than me, snitches get stitches, and it haunted me, and I blame them for a lot of the problems I have today, but I will start with you. This snitching thing, is it a big deal or no big deal?
Well, to me, it's a big deal only from this perspective. First of all, I completely coincide with that thinking in practically every way. It ain't about snitching, but this is the exception. Snitch away, snitch away. You know, Max uses terminologies like, you know, I'm sorry, Max, if I butcher it, but you know, whatever you gonna do is stops it, punch it, and connect it with my nose or whatever the hell you say. Bottom line is this: excuse me, if you go outside the bubble, then you come back in the bubble and you can contaminate people around you. Now, I'm not a...
Let me say something. You are a snitch. Don't say you're not a snitch if you talking about snitching. You are a snitch. But I do understand the whole you coming back into the bubble and you may have COVID and you may ruin the season. I understand that. But at the end of the day, telling to the authorities, that builds a bad rapport with the person in your community. You tell the niggas, hey man, I don't think you should be going out there, bro. That might fuck up the season. And if he do it anyway, that's on him. This is the code of the streets. This is the real motherfuckers code. You ain't gotta be a brother, but if you a real person, snitching, so why you get stitches?
About snitching when it's you living your life and you are doing harm to yourself. But if you're endangering me and everybody else around because you want to violate the safety protocols of the bubble, you damn right they should snitch on you. You're absolutely correct. I mean...
Listen, hold on, listen. He said if he's in harm, it ain't just about COVID, nigga. You a snitch all the way around. If somebody finna whoop on you, you gon' snitch too. So don't try to make it seem like it's just about COVID. And what is up with you niggas being ultra fearful of COVID like y'all ain't seen all asymptomatic hoopers?
Rudy Gobert obviously, contributed to Donovan Mitchell getting it, albeit unintentional, and all of that other stuff. We get all of that. A plethora of other players. I mean, Russell Westbrook now has it. I don't know whether he was in Houston or LA or whatever, but he got it. Listen, he wasn't out there practicing irresponsible behavior or anything like that, but nevertheless, somehow, some way, you contracted this thing. You don't know how you can contract it. So as a result of that, anything you do is not just endangering you, it's endangering other players, other people, and most important...
If you healthy, you're not in danger, for one. And for two, more importantly, Stephen A. was about to say, more importantly, the season over their health. But now he changed it to just as important. Let's bring that back.
Can contract it. So as a result of that, anything you do is not just endangering you, it's endangering other players, other people, and most important, and just as important, you're jeopardizing the season. The season could get canceled if all of a sudden they get ravaged with a bunch of positive COVID-19 tests because you wanted to go out there and get loose, or you wanted to go out there and get a sick.
He loves, and this is the thing, y'all not gonna like this because y'all gonna say, nah, he's just doing what's right. But that's what the house Negro was trained to do. Oh, they're leaving the plantation? Let me tell. Let me snitch for the betterment of the plantation. I don't want people getting their ass whooped, because if one leaves, now we gonna get whooped by Master. He gonna take it out on us. Let's make sure he don't go nowhere, so I'll do my part. Same shit, analogous, just a different form.
Or something like that. Hell yeah, I'm telling. Absolutely. This is the one time
This is why Stephen A. Smith not from the culture. This is why he can't come back to the culture. This is why the real recognize real and the real don't recognize Stephen A. like that.
But certainly in this circumstance, hell yeah, snitch away.
I suspect all of us see this the same way. I completely support the NBA players snitching. Stephen A., you brought up the right to swing your fist ends at my nose, right? Like libertarianism, which has been in the news the last decade or so a lot. I understand that philosophically, right? Like, hey, I'm going to swing my fist. If it doesn't hit you in the nose, we're good. Like, you have to live with other people in a society, so you can't just swing your fist if it hits someone else in the nose. But the question that we negotiate is, how close to the nose can you come? There's a gray area. Wait a minute, that makes me feel uncomfortable. It's coming a little close. Hey, I still haven't hit you in the nose, right? In this case, if you don't snitch, what you're saying is you have the right to swing your fist and it doesn't end at my nose or that other person's nose or that person's nose or their parents' or grandparents' nose. The entire point of very strict protocols during a pandemic is not just the risk you're willing to take, it's the risk you expose others to.
You see the mass message when it comes to this pandemic? It's so crazy to me how bought in they are. They're paid to be bought in though. I don't know if they are really bought in, but they're paid to be bought in, and they're paid to perpetuate that risk and that fear of one person leaves the bubble, you could make a catastrophic COVID threat to the world. Like he probably gonna go in and get tested. They sneak out, probably test me to just see what's up. Yeah. Snitching don't solve it. They already went out. Snitch.
So again, the player can say, well, I don't care if I get it or if we spread it amongst each other. Yeah, okay, fine, that's your prerogative, I guess. But if it spreads, if there's no contact tracing in the absence of a vaccination, and it spreads.
Look at them. Contact tracing. So now you want to trace and contact people like WHO and in the way of a vaccination. Look at these niggas talking. They talking like CDC and WHO.
Now you're endangering the lives of people who are most vulnerable, the elderly and people with underlying conditions, etc. So in this case, snitching is a good thing, and furthermore, we also agree it's even self-interested, even for the player who's being snitched on. It's in their best interest.
It's in everybody's best interest to do the COVID protocols every time, every day, everywhere, anywhere. Anybody who's not wearing a mask is negligent. Anybody who is for the greater good. Anybody who's snitching, for the greater good. Anybody who's not, isn't. This is all the message that they're giving you. Stephen A's being a house nigga, he's just being a American.
Because if everyone's strict, and you know how it is, if you're in a bubble for a long time, human nature, you're sitting in your room, well, I know the rules apply to everyone, but maybe they don't apply to me right now, because how much harm can I really do? And that player may be right. This is just one-on-one spread or whatever it is. But unless there's incentive for everyone to be strict about it, everyone's going to feel that way. How much harm am I going to really do? And then the whole thing collapses because they're going to have to cancel the season. So in order to pull this thing off, which is still fraught, I'm cautiously optimistic, but it's still fraught, players are going to have to self-regulate, and I hate to say it, if they must snitch, then they must.
I'm with you, Max. Self-regulation is
No, he a
everything here, and
snitch.
It was trending yesterday on Twitter. CP3 was trending, and they had him standing outside with the whistle. I'll be outside with the whistle too. We blowing out on people because it's not just the other players that potentially you are jeopardizing to contacting this. It's the trainers. It's the staff. It's the head coaches. We know some of the coaches there are a little bit older and might be more predisposition to something like this. It's some of the GMs, some of the owners that might be there as well. You're just not jeopardizing your team. You're jeopardizing the health potentially of a lot of people. And, Steve Kerr.
Over perpetuating the fear. I'm done. It's predictable. I wanted to show y'all but what y'all watching? Y'all watching something that's not cultural. They talking about telling on friends, potentially homies, on the basis of getting people sick, overly sick, when every NBA player's been asymptomatic. I do understand his argument of protecting uh, the people with underlying disease, the elderly. But at the end of the day, snitching is snitching, and you got to go back to your community as a snitch. And as an NBA player, snitching on another player, that shit just ain't popping. You seen what happened to D'Angelo Russell. Whether it was if he snitched on Nick Young for going off the bubble, he still would have been X'd out. Snitches still get stitches. I don't care what Takashi taught you niggas. Dang.